Hi, this is Mike from Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and on today's video we're going to take a look at the new case from Gamemax. This is the Gamemax Prism. Now if you've seen our previous video on the Gamemax Time Bandit, then this is actually a very similar chassis, although they've made some improvements to the airflow, which I think is actually probably a good idea, and also the design is slightly different, giving us this, well, slightly more prism look. It is actually an infinity mirror, but yeah, I guess prism is pretty much as close as you're going to get. Now this is still a ATX case, but is very much on the compact side of things, and you've got options for installing more fans, radiators and all that kind of stuff. So I think the best thing to do is, if we get straight into this, we'll tear it down, take a look, see what it's all about, and then I'll give you some of my thoughts and recommendations. So let's take a closer look at the case, and we'll start off with the dimensions. So this is actually quite a compact case. So you're looking at 380 mils tall, 200 wide, and 465 millimeters in length. So this is actually a pretty compact in terms of an ATX case. Generally that is more almost micro ATX size, so if you're looking for a compact desktop PC, then this potentially might be the way forward. I think a lot of people, if you're initially looking at this video, probably you're taken by the looks itself. Now this is going to be one of those cases where the looks you're either going to love or you're going to hate, or potentially just looking for something cheap and cheerful to put a flip PC together with and you're not entirely bothered. But we all know RGB sells, and this has got RGB by the bucket load. So it does come included with three 120mm ARGB fans. They are also of the kind of infinity look fans, so they've got that infinity hub in there. Pretty decent fans, looking between 500 and 1500 RPM. And in terms of airflow, yeah, they're going to be absolutely fine. Potentially, obviously, if you want to, you can swap them out, entirely up to you. Or you can actually augment them and add more fans. There is room in the front of the PC case to put in another three 120mm fans. Although I would say you're probably better off with just installing two. The bottom area here is a little bit on the cramped side, especially when you've got your wires in there. So I think realistically, for kind of the benefit for the money, putting an extra two fans in the upper mounts, it's going to be absolutely fine. Now when it comes to water cooling support, there isn't really a great deal of water cooling support here. Potentially if you wanted to, you could put a 240mm AIO in the top, 120 maybe in the back. They do say on the site that you can put a 280 in the front. I would probably advise against it. There isn't a massive amount of airflow here. We have got a nice ventilated section here, but it is kind of mesh on mesh, so there is another mesh panel behind there. You can, if you want to, remove that. That is for the finer dust particles. If you remove that, you can have a bit more airflow here, but this isn't a traditional kind of airflow style case. So again, going back to the design of it, so the main thing here is this kind of prism or infinity mirror effect, all of which the RGB you can choose to control either from your motherboard. So there is actually an included 6-port ARGB and PWM hub, of which there are 4 RGB devices connected at the moment. So the front panel and also the 3 fans, and then you've got the 3 fans on PWM as well. So you've got a little bit of expansion there. The hub itself has got a pass through, so you can pass through the ARGB and the PWM signal to your motherboard to take full control. If you want to use a slightly older motherboard that doesn't have addressable RGB header on it, you can just press the reset button on the top of the case and cycle through the various types of color options, of which there are absolutely tons of them. So no problems there. I think most people will probably plug it into a modern motherboard and choose their RGB settings in there. So we'll turn it around onto the side, and as you can see, very reflective. So you've got actually a nice, decent tempered glass side panel, which has a very slight tint to it. And there's 4 screws holding on the side panel, which is a little bit old school these days. We're kind of more used to having slightly more elegant designs, but this, I guess, does the job absolutely fine. And taking the glass out is a slightly more laborious approach, but the glass itself is 4mm thick, so nice and strong, pretty chunky. And with the glass out of the way, we can take a closer look inside. So again, this is pretty compact, so this is going to be ATX boards at the maximum. Anything larger than standard ATX is going to be, well, basically not able to do. You can put in micro ATX or ITX if you wanted to. I think most people probably stick with ATX. They generally tend to be the cheaper options. And looking inside, there's plenty of pass-throughs and punch-outs. No grommets in here to speak of, so for cable management, you might want to try and keep that a little bit tidier. When it comes to the basement section, so there's a little cutout here, so if you want to show off your power supply, you certainly can do. Personally, I think for me, I would have preferred to have seen that being blanked off. There is a very discreet Gamemax logo. The only thing discreet about this case, really, the RGB is a little bit OTT, but the logo is actually very discreet, and with the side panel on, you'll basically never see it's there. So that's pretty nice. So as you can see, pre-installed, you've got the 3 120mm fans. Those are the kind of Gamemax Infinity ones. You can get very similar fans. I'll link those in the video description. Gamemax don't actually sell these separately at the moment, which I think is a bit of a shame, but you can pick them up from a different brand and they look basically identical, so those might be beneficial to you. We've actually done a separate review on those fans as well, so if you want to check that out, I'll link that in the video description. If you want to take out the top two fans and put in a radiator, you can do, although do be cautious because there isn't a great deal of height there between the top of the motherboard and also top of the case. So you may have troubles with VRMs or RAM compatibility issues. Realistically, I would say if you're looking at water cooling and water cooling is something you really want to do, stick it maybe in the front, don't put anything in the top or in the back. You can't change the fan sizes either, otherwise on the back it's 120 or bust, that's kind of it. And the top actually is a little bit unusual because there are actually extra holes for a larger fan. So you could potentially put a single 140 in the top. Again, it's kind of pointless because it comes with two 120s, so you're better off using that. Other places where you can put fans, so there are actually kind of areas here above the power supply unit and also the hard drive storage area. You can put another two 120s there. Screws are included in the pack, so you get a full bunch of screws, brass motherboard supports, all that kind of stuff for assembling it, so no worries there. But these always kind of bother me a little bit because it's kind of pointless. They're more for aesthetics. They don't really do anything in terms of cooling, especially the one over the top of the power supply, because your power supply is going to be slammed up against there, so it's basically pulling in nothing. This one here, a little bit more beneficial, probably going to pull in a little bit from here, from the front and underneath, and then a little bit in towards the path of your graphics card. Other than that here, not really a great deal else to speak of. There's a little bit of a cutout on the front if you are going to put radiators in, but again, I would probably advise against it. Something which is a little bit disappointing, especially at a case which is at the price point it is currently in the UK. So I actually did a quick little look around, and the only place I could find this actually on sale was CCL here in the UK. They want £65 for it. I'm guessing that's a misprint or whatever. Ideally, I would like to see this come in at under £50, really, for the kind of the case that it is. Because as well, on the back, the PCI Express blanking plates are the ones that you have to kind of punch out or fold out, which I think is a shame. The top one is actually removable, but most graphics cards these days are dual slot, so it would have been nice to have seen two of those at least. So if you're just putting a two slot graphics card in, you can put those in, not have to worry about it too much. But with this, if you do punch those out, put a dual slot in, then maybe you want to just do an APU system, you're going to have to find yourself a blanking plate, which isn't the end of the world, just it would have been nice to have seen detachable PCI Express blanking plates as standard these days. Now also, while we're on this part of the case, I'm going to take the front panel off. The front panel actually on this one was really hard to get off, so it should be just a little bit of a sharp tug from the handle on the bottom, so let's see how that goes. So there we go. It was a little bit more difficult than I expected, so do expect if you do get this case, potentially you might even need kind of like a blade or like use a credit card or some plastic spludger to try and prise off the front panel. It is on particularly well, so yeah, if you can't get it off, it is meant to come off, but yeah, it might take a little bit of a tug to do it. You will see as well there is this kind of umbilical cable which connects the front panel to the addressable RGB controller, so that is for the kind of infinity look there. And also now we can see there is this additional grille which is in here, which you could take out if you wanted to give yourself a little bit more airflow, but this is going to be quite good for trapping dust, being that the way this is set up as standard is a kind of negative airflow. So we've got all exhaust at the top and the back and no intake, so air is going to try and find its way in here, so that is going to be good for dust filtration. And also from here you can see we've got the space for the three 120mm fans. It's actually a real shame because this is really nice and open, so it's going to let your blades grab all of the air they can. It's just a little bit unfortunate that most of this is blocked off here at the bottom. Like I said, if you put a fan in this area here, this is going to basically choke it off entirely. If you move up a little bit, then it's going to be a little bit better. You've got some area there, and at the top it's kind of almost open, so you will get some air in there, just not a great deal. So now we'll take a look at the back of the case. So ATX power supply in the bottom here, you've got your PCI Express blanking plates there, and the single removable one at the top there. You've got this shield section which undoes, which you can move out, so yeah, not the best idea, but it will keep the cards in place. Also, you've got 120mm fan space there, a little bit of adjustment there vertically, not a great deal. You've got your section here for your motherboard to come through there, and you've got some screws on the side there to remove the side panel. The side panel is completely flat, so no bumps or ridges there, and the thumb screws aren't captive, so do expect those to fall on the floor as soon as you take them out, unfortunately. And the side panel is a little bit on the flimsy side, but it's absolutely fine. And again, there's no bulges. So now in the back, you can see it's actually a little bit of a cable management nightmare to begin with. There isn't a lot of depth here, although there is enough depth for the RGB hub controller to go here. That is stuck on. Actually, when I got it, when I first received it, it was actually stuck underneath, which I think is probably a bad idea in case you want to put drives in there or something. So I've actually moved it there as well so you can see how it works. Connectivity for this, so there's a single PWM connection that goes to a fan header on your motherboard, ideally the chassis fan header. Then you've got an addressable RGB header as well, so that goes to your motherboard. Again, you can just use the reset switch. So if you look here at the top, you've got the connections for the ARGB and also the PWM, and also the reset switch, which has been repurposed. So you press the reset button on the top and it will change the actual colors going through the RGB hub. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Or like I said, if you plug it into your motherboard, you can just take control from there. Fans will still be passed through as well, so that's absolutely fine. And the PWM hub works actually very well. Sometimes you get some of these hubs, they're not the greatest at passing through the data, so they spin it fast or whatever, but these are absolutely fantastic. So you've got no problems there. The RGB and also the PWM on all the fans included, the three of them, have all got pass-throughs as well, so if you want to daisy chain them, you can do to simplify your wiring. There is a little bit of wiring to do here. You've got a cable channel down this side section, which I've used some Velcro straps. Those aren't included, but I have done that just to kind of tidy things up a little bit. So down this front section, you've got your front I/O cables. Also, I've got a couple of the RGB cables as well. So yeah, you can make a relatively neat job of it. When it comes to powering the hub, it does use a single SATA plug. So you've got a SATA for power, so that passes power through the hub, powers your fans, powers your RGB. They just use the signals, etc. So yeah, that's absolutely fine. When it comes to the front panel connectivity, you've got all the usual stuff there. So you've got your USB 3.0, you've got your HD audio there, and also you've got your USB 2.0, and you've got your front panel connectors, reset switch, etc, etc. So yeah, that's all good, no problems there. And actually, I think I just made a mistake because there is, I think I said they repurposed the reset switch as an RGB switch, but there are individual switches. So if you're a little bit concerned that you want to retain your reset switch and also use a separate switch for your RGB, don't worry, those are on there. I just realized that by looking at the cables. So yeah, that's fine. There's not a huge amount of room down here. Now, you're probably seeing some footage from when I had the power supply in there, which is actually one of the larger power supplies from Gamemax. This is one of their older ARGB ones. It does take up quite a lot of room, so cable management on the bottom there could potentially be a little bit tricky depending on your setup, and certainly because there isn't a huge amount of depth here, I would suggest trying to get a power supply with flat cables rather than the ones which are bundled together with the kind of braiding around them. Those might be a little bit too chunky, and having to run them up the side here, pass them through into your motherboard, etc. Yeah, it could be slightly challenging. So ideally, if you can, try to get yourself a power supply with nice flat power cables. Also in the bottom, there's some very, very basic kind of punch outs in the bottom, so you can attach a 3.5-inch drive to those. If you want to put a 3.5-inch drive in the bottom, you can also possibly stick one on the side there, just using some gaffer tape. There is actually a section here next to the pass-throughs where you can add more 2.5-inch drives. Realistically, I think drives are somewhat of an afterthought on this particular case. Putting a couple in the bottom is fine, but again, because it's quite a cramped case anyway, especially if you've got a larger power supply, fitting a couple of drives in there is going to be problematic. It does actually say on the website that you can put 2 3.5-inch drives and 2 2.5-inch drives. I'm not entirely sure where you'd put the second drive. There doesn't appear to be any obvious mounting areas. I have had a good look in here. So yeah, I'm not entirely sure how they're getting that. I do think the previous version of this, the Time Bandit, actually had a little bit more room for drives and a slightly different cage. So potentially they've kind of mixed up the description between the two. So I would say for me personally, 1 3.5-inch drive on the bottom, possibly one in here somewhere, maybe 2 just stuck double-sided tape with the 2.5-inch drive. Those will be fine. But yeah, not a lot of thought to drives in this case, unfortunately. Let's take a look at the bottom. So on the bottom, usual stuff. So foam feet, very usual thing to do, rather than rubber, which marks desks. You've got one of these very flimsy power supply filters, which kind of do the job. As you can see, there's a couple of cat hairs on there already, so it does seem to be doing some job. Yeah, not great. I would have loved to have seen like a pull-out tray or something, or even a full-length filter. But again, it kind of is what it is. Taking a look at the top, so we've got a nice big clicky power button. Next to that, you've got some indicators for power and hard drive activity. Next to that, you've got your reset button, which is tiny. Then you've got your LED button, which is right next to it, which is a little bit unfortunate, but the reset button is actually tiny. So you do actually have to kind of really struggle and push it hard to reset. So yeah, I don't think that's too bad, but I would have liked to have seen those probably spaced out a little bit more, just so you don't accidentally go to change your RGB lighting and press reset when you haven't saved your data. That could be somewhat awkward. Something else which I think is a little bit lackluster is the USB port. So no USB Type-C, which is becoming more common. Not the deal breaker, but would have been nice to have seen. Only a single USB 3.0 port, and that's a 5 gigabit per second. And you've got 2 standard USB 2.0 ports. Next to that, you've got headset and mic jacks, which are separated, which I do appreciate. When it comes to USBs on the front panel, let me know in the comment section what your thoughts are on that. For me, generally, when I'm plugging in USBs to the front of my PC, it's very rare that I'm doing data transfer. More times than not, it's going to be something like a headset, maybe a microphone. So USB 2 for me, I don't think is too much of a problem. And at least you've got the option of a USB 3.0 for a little bit of data transfer, should you need to. But do you use faster data transfer on the front of your cases? Let me know. Be interested to hear your thoughts. So there we go. That is the Gamemax Prism. I'm not entirely sure who this is aimed at. Realistically, I think this case is going to be one of those where if you've seen it, I've seen a picture of it, and you like the look of it, the rest of it doesn't matter. This isn't a performance case by any stretch of the imagination, which is unfortunate because it's, at the moment, it seems to be at a price point where it's kind of nudging into the territory of performance cases. And then also another thing which is actually unfortunate for Gamemax themselves is at that particular price, which I've seen it as CCL, it actually is directly competing with their own F15, which if you've seen the review we did probably 3 or 4 years ago now, the F15 is an absolutely amazing case. It's much bigger, much more cooling, the fan controls are excellent, it's just a very, very good case. Extremely good. It is a lot bigger, but it is weirdly at the moment $62.99 here in the UK. So fantastic price. It was that price about 3 or 4 years ago, so it doesn't seem to have changed much. Still a great case, but if you don't have the room for something quite as big and as leery as the F15, then maybe you will take a look at the Gamemax Prism or its kind of counterpart, the Time Bandit, which you've also reviewed. Again, links for that will be in the video description. But yeah, I think this is going to be really big seller for polices that flip PCs, or kind of like your CCLs or overclockers, eBuyer, those types of companies who basically put together some PCs and they just want a nice looking case with a little bit of RGB on there, fans included, so they don't have to spend extra on that, and they can put it in there, and like we said before many times, RGB sells, or at least it does seem to, in my opinion. Anyway, let me know what you think about this one in the comments section below. I think it ticks all the right boxes. It's just, I think these days some of us enthusiasts are more into our kind of more performing cases, better airflow, better features, but then we are paying more for them these days, getting up for 80 to 100 pounds. So yeah, let me know what you think about this one in the comments section below. But for now, I've been Mike. This is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and hopefully we'll catch you in the very next video. Thanks for watching.